No, the grabby hands didn't actually work.
Loading complete.
Yeah, so what's going on? Smarty here, welcome back to Smarty's Untitled review show, and like I said last week, or even the last episode rather, we're actually going to be diving into the movie territory. I have been looking forward to this movie since about last year, when it first came to a head based on the podcast that it came from. I'm going to link below the podcast if you're interested. If you're into podcasts, it's something you can look into. Today we're going to be talking about Kevin Smith's latest release, Tusk.
I'm so scared. This guy wants to turn me into an animal or something. I don't want to die in Canada.
Now, usually I'm pretty spoiler-free on this show for the most part, with the exclusion of The Last of Us, because I was doing this for the first time. Anyway, so, how do I describe this? This movie is basically, Kevin Smith is quoted, he said it's basically a cuddlier version of the Human Centipede, and this movie is, well, about a guy who turns another guy into a walrus. No, I'm not kidding. Based on the podcast that it came from. The podcast basically mapped it out, like, scene for the most part, and honestly, it's exactly what I expected. It's really exactly what I expected. There were no, with the exclusion of, like, some of the dialogue scenes, everything was pretty much beat for beat in what was gonna go down. So, like, it's essentially about this podcaster who goes to Canada to interview someone, but unfortunately he finds out the interviewee dies, so he goes along to try and find another lead, runs into a note by Michael Parks' character, who he talks to, he ends up getting drugged, and then turned into a walrus. That's pretty much the whole plot. That's basically what's going on in this movie. If you want to listen to the podcast, essentially that. What I'm trying to get at is, what did I think of the movie? I liked it. I honestly, like, first things first, you can't take this movie seriously. If you really are going into this movie with a serious mindset, you're fucking doing it wrong. Like Red State. Red State, though, is a movie you can take seriously. This is a movie that Kevin Smith did, almost sort of a passion project, but it was something that really you can take fucking seriously. Tusk is about a guy who gets turned into a walrus, let's remember that. And when you see the walrus, you can't take it fucking seriously. You really cannot. The movie does a good job of building suspense, up to the part when you actually see the walrus costume. When you see what he looks like in the walrus suit, it's that first sense of shock and horror. The build-up is so perfect, and the tension is so good that you can cut it with a knife. And the payoff is perfect. But like when you see it the first time, you have to take a moment to absorb it in. In regards to the points after that, like every time he comes on screen, every time he's in the walrus costume, every time he's interacting with Michael Parks, it's fucking awesome. It's pretty fucking creepy and pretty good. The sequences that really mess with the movie's tension and the movie's suspense are when you're introduced to the side plot of Genesis Rodriguez and Haley Joel Osment, who, by the way, Haley Joel Osment got fucking fat. When those characters are searching for Justin Long's character, and they run into Guy Lapointe, as played by Guy Lapointe, and no one else. When they run into Guy Lapointe, and they start, like, trying to track, when they try to find out where he went. Guy Lapointe is supposed to be this, from what the podcasts have said, like, they've made this character of Guy Lapointe, he's supposed to be this eccentric Frenchman who's like an investigator, like a private investigator. Like, he's weird. He's not eccentric. He's not like the eccentric type that you'd expect. Like, best example of eccentric is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Raul Duke. That's eccentric. That's a really eccentric character. unfortunately, like, it doesn't hit all the right notes, and when you get to the dialogue between, there's a scene between Michael Parks, and it's like a flashback scene with Michael Parks and Guy Lapointe, and they're talking, and it just drags on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and the scene itself, it just drags on to the point where you just kind of, you lose all of that spark. That whole suspense is gone because it's been going on for so long. If you cut that down a little bit, and it was awkward, if you cut out that sequence of events, it really would have been a better movie. What I love about the movie, it's shot really well. The score is fantastic. Like, it's got this sense of eeriness, and it's got a real sense of, like, the elements of, like, the sea are involved. You'll hear, like, seagulls and whatnot in the background of the score, and it works with the sound design, and you hear the ocean crashing against the beach. Stuff like that, that works out. This movie is a love letter to the podcast in which it's based off of. If you don't know, Kevin Smith basically has a whole network of podcasts. One of the main ones where this came from is called Smodcast. This movie is really a love letter to the fan base, to all the people who said #WalrusYes on Twitter. It's chock full of references, and it's chock full of references to the Smodcast network and the Smodco world itself. For example, the place where they go to meet Guy Lapointe, one of the places they go is a restaurant called the Gimli Slider, which is in reference to an episode where they talk about the Gimli glider incident in Canada. Kevin Smith's wife is also in the movie as well. I think one of the theme tunes from the actual shows are ringtones. Basically stuff like that, like small little nods to the show, like, that keep you alive. Also, Ralph Garman's in the movie, and he cameos, and he's on Hollywood Babylon. If you're a fan of Smodcast and you're a fan of all these podcasts, this movie's for you. If you're not, you'll see some weird things and you'll be like, oh, that's interesting, but it's really just a love letter to the fans. Now you may be asking, why exactly is it that I can't take this movie seriously? Like, why can't I, like, analyze it as a pseudo-critic, so to speak? Well, honestly, it's one of two things. One, this movie, the plot is too nonsensical and it's too absurd that you really can't hate it. It's not like a movie that, like, you can really analyze in thought. It's about the idea of loss of humanity, and it's also about the idea of a dude turning another dude into a fucking walrus. That's pretty easy. And it's also all about storytelling. The second reason is because this movie is based around two words, and those words are pushing whimsy. This movie, and Kevin Smith has openly said this is a movie that, one, it came from a conversation where two people were shooting the shit and they came up with this plot. Kevin Smith openly said that this is a movie that the whole mantra behind it was, let's see how far we can take this. Let's see how far it's gonna get. And maybe it'll crash and burn, or maybe it'll be a success. Maybe it will be like The Purge. And honestly, I can say it's, for what it is, it really is something you should check out. It's an experience. I'm honestly gonna say it's not without its faults. Like, there's some parts in the movie that really shouldn't have been in the movie. But it's exactly what I expected. It really is exactly what I expected. I listened to the podcast almost when it first came out, so I kind of knew where it was gonna go. I knew all the main plot points, and I knew where it was gonna go. Certain things in the movie, though, like I said, the Guy Lapointe plot structure really, I thought, could have been dumbed down, and it could have really been taken out of... It could have been more on the back burner. Some of the dialogue in the movie is pretty... Like, it shouldn't be there, but at the same time, I understand why it's there. Like, it's to thicken the background of the characters. It allows you to understand that some of the characters really don't have a good moral compass, and it makes you question whether or not you should really be rooting for these characters or hoping these characters get out of a situation. I don't know really what else I can say. It was honestly, people are saying that Tusk is Kevin Smith's best movie. Unfortunately, I'm gonna disagree, and like I said before, Red State I think is his greatest movie that he's ever done. This is the movie that reinvented him as a director, as a filmmaker. While Tusk is more or less a film that he did to sort of to have fun and to push whimsy, so to speak, to kind of chase that dream of maybe doing a movie for fun, I think that this movie really, one, sends a message about religion, and it sends a message about, like, how people and their beliefs can be a very bad thing. But at the same time, I think that Tusk it's an experience. It's something you should at least watch. Give it a shot. It is fucked up. It's a fucked up movie, but it's not as bad as some of the stuff I have seen out there. It's a fucked up movie, but it's not Human Centipede levels of bad. There's no, like, ass-to-mouth shit. Anyway, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this review of Tusk. Overall, I'd say, well, walrus yes. That's the best it deserves. It's a walrus yes. I agree with this movie. It was a good movie. But, again, it does have its faults. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Smarty's Untitled Review Show. Yeah, so if you want to see me do more movie reviews of upcoming movies, let me know, because I'd actually be interested in talking about movies like this, just shooting the shit. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. This is Smarty, signing off.